a new episode with Heroes of Faith and with His Grace Bishop Yusuf. We welcome you again, Sayyidina, in this episode. We've been talking in the last couple of episodes about great saints. I want to go back a little bit to some of the biblical characters. And I chose today one of the great characters of the Bible, Nehemiah. Nehemiah was away from his home, and his heart was always back to his home land, and he was asking about what's happening in Jerusalem. When he heard about what's going on in Jerusalem, his heart was sad and his face was sad in front of his king. And God has prepared the way for him to go back to rebuild the gates and the fence around Jerusalem. The question, Sayyidina, I feel that we as immigrants to different places and different countries of the world, we still connected to our homeland, Egypt. Even if the true homeland for us is heaven. But this is a place where we were born, we were raised, and we were taught the Word of God. How do you see, Sayyidina, our relationship being an immigration land with our homeland and our church back in Egypt?
Actually, the person who left his homeland and immigrated to another land, he has a responsibility toward the home country and the host country, and also responsibility toward the home church, and I don't want to call it the hosted church because it's also the Coptic Orthodox here, but I mean the church here in America, for example. We read in the book of Acts, those who were scattered because of the persecution, they went preaching the Word of God. So, if God allowed us to come here, actually the responsibility is to preach the Orthodox tradition and the Coptic faith and tradition, which is the Orthodox, and I mean here by the word Orthodox, the right, the true, not just a denomination, the true faith. We have a responsibility actually to share this faith and to invite the people to taste and see the sweetness of truthful tradition of 2,000 years. And actually, by carrying the tradition of our mother church and sharing it with the people here, we are introducing our mother church to the people here and making children to our mother church from the people in the land of immigration. But again, like the trunk of a tree, if the trunk lost its connection with the roots, cannot bear fruit. So we have to have our connection to the root, to the church, to our mother church in Egypt. And we have to get our nourishment and nurture from there, through our connection with the tradition of 2,000 years, and also with our local fathers now, our beloved father, His Holiness Pope Shenouda, all the bishops and clergy, all the laity, and brothers and sisters there. These are the roots. And like as I said, the trunk that's not connected with the roots cannot bear fruit. So in order actually to bear fruit here, for Christ, we have to be connected with the roots. And also another responsibility, as Nehemiah went back to Jerusalem in order to build the wall and the gate and to renovate the city of Jerusalem. And as we read in the letter of St. Paul to Corinthians and in the book of Acts, when they heard that there are some financial problems in Jerusalem and famine, actually people donated and helped the mother church in Jerusalem. In the same way, we should have responsibility toward our brethren, the needy and the needs of the church over there. But I think you spoke about our homeland and a church. And just one small point I want to speak about our home country, Egypt. Egypt has a special blessing. As we read in Isaiah chapter 19, there will be an altar to the Lord in the land of Egypt. And the Lord said, "Bless Egypt, my people." So some people, when they leave Egypt, they have this attitude, I don't want to do anything with Egypt anymore, especially if they are left Egypt with some negative experiences or whatever. But we should not allow negativity to overwhelm us. There are many, many, many blessings in our home country. And the wise person should integrate the positives and the blessings of our home country with also the positives of the host country. And usually they say any civilization is integration of two cultures. So actually, when we integrate our home culture with the host culture, this actually will give wisdom and more experience to the person himself.
This might be easy to those who came from Egypt, but what about our kids who were born here? How we can raise in their heart that belonging or that connection to the motherland and to the mother church?
The observation, let me just start by saying some observation from the research. They found that the majority of the immigrant, the first generation of immigrant, they are connected to the home country, like Egypt in our example. And they want actually to separate themselves completely from the host country to make like an Egyptian island in the middle of, America. And because of this attitude, their children, which is the second generation, start to develop this resistance against the home country of the parent. And they say, no, you cannot impose this on me. You are Egyptian, I'm American. Don't impose this on me. So they found the second generation, the majority of it, want to assimilate the host country, and sometimes they become more Americanized than the American principles. But with the third generation, they found that because the third generation don't have the insecurity that their parents will impose on them, the Egyptian culture, because they are already American. So they found that the third generation wants to know the roots. So actually the third generation tried to connect himself with the home country. And they found actually the third generation more connected to the home country than the second generation. But although the research recorded this to us, But I want to say healthy upbringing should be integrational. What do I mean by integrational? The parents should understand that their children are Americans, but at the same time they have roots, Egyptian roots. So maybe through visits to Egypt and through explaining to them all the beautiful blessings and wonderful things about our home country, Egypt, and also not denying and not rejecting, the host country, and plant in them belonging to both culture, to the Egyptian culture and the American culture, for example. In this way, actually, the meaning of the word home will expand, not only to include either Egypt or America, but to include Egypt and America. So I will refer to Egypt as my home, and I will refer also to America as my home. And it will be very, very difficult for the children who are born here to get this concept without, the wisdom of their fathers to plant in them belonging and love to the home country, beside not denying that they are American and they are belonging to this culture. That's why, as I said, the concept of home will expand to include both cultures and both countries.
Thank you, Sayyidina, for this answer to this question. It's always a question that comes to my mind and to mind of many parents, how to have our kids connected to their homeland and home church. And thank you for being with us today. Sayyidina, we need to have other questions about Nehemiah in another episode. So we thank you for this one, and we need you again, and to bless us again in another episode. And if God has revealed himself in Nehemiah, he can reveal himself in you.